Welcome to the API Chronicles Unlocking the Future, a live celebration of APIs hosted by Marqeta. Today, we're exploring how APIs are empowering innovators to accelerate crypto adoption and build bridges between traditional and digital finance, specifically how payment cards are bridging the gap. I'm Liz Lumley, Deputy Editor of The Banker magazine, and we have a wonderful panel here for you this afternoon representing Crypto.com, Crypterium, Visa, and CEX.io. As I mentioned before, this is the API Chronicles, which is live. It's a live celebration. So we will be taking questions from our audience in our chat function. I recommend you make the questions interesting and relevant. That gives it more of a chance to be asked during the panel. But don't worry, we have a lot of wonderful discussion topics waiting for you when we start our discussion. But before we do that, I'm going to let our panel introduce themselves to you, and I'm going to go in the order they are on my screen. So we'll start with Nicola. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you, Liz. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. My name is Nicola Plekas, and I'm the Visa Europe crypto business lead responsible for shaping the Delivering a strategy in the region. Looking forward to the discussion.
Wonderful. Can we have Arina now, please?
Hello, thank you for having me here. My name is Zarina. I'm head of corporate payment solution for CEX.io and happy to discuss our questions.
Wonderful. And Cormac, please introduce yourself.
Sure, no problem. Thanks a million, Liz. Cormac Dinan is my name, and I head up Crypto.com for Ireland and General Manager for Ireland.
Wonderful. And last but not least, Austin, can you please introduce yourself?
Thanks, Liz. I'm one of the founders and currently head of strategy at Crypterium, and that's sort of one of the main platforms in crypto space right now.
Wonderful. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about payments and crypto, and specifically payment cards, and whether or not they've helped accelerate crypto adoption. And that's really going to be my first question. I'm going to start with Arina. In looking at payment cards, are they helping bridge that gap between traditional and digital finance? Arina, I'll start with you.
Definitely they're helping. CEX.io-enabled card deposits, first one in the industry. After that, many of other exchanges followed our experience. They invested time, resources in searching for the best partner, proceeding with enhanced due diligence, integration, and all of this. And if you're going to ask me, how the end customer benefited from that, firstly, customer received in their crypto environment just easy and well-known for them payment methods. And after a short period of time, they also received another thing. It's like withdrawing funds after trading. And basically, this is like when you have your fiat funds available on your bank card and easy, ready to further purchase. And this is huge, actually, because, customers can make profit from trading or simple from hodling and staking, and then they can spend the earnings in fiat using payment cards. It's also worth mentioning that after this successful example of bridging from crypto to fiat, also what I saw, also other payment companies offering, for example, domestic payment methods, alternative payment methods, they also understood that if they're not going to follow, they can be left without a piece of pie. So they started to reach us and they started to offer cooperation options to bridge between crypto and fiat. This is what we saw.
Interesting, really interesting. I think that's not using the words traditional digital finance, but that sort of bridge between crypto and fiat. I think we'll discuss further. I have to bring Visa in on this discussion about payment cards, so I wanted to go to Nicola. Sorry about that. How are they really helping bridge this gap?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And when you think about Visa, the core of really what we do is we are providing a connection between consumers and the merchants. We're enabling you, Liz, to use your card to purchase goods and services to the merchants. Now, whether that's you going and buying something in a kind of apparel store or like a grocery store, or you're using your credential to purchase digital currency at a crypto platform, from our perspective, it's critical that we enable these services. So that's really the core of what we do. So growing what we would call acceptance and kind of called bridging is absolutely critical and key to kind of how we see our vision and role kind of in the space today and in the future. And we see that we are playing this role as a effectively the bridge between our existing clients and helping them to on-ramp from their fiat into crypto. And we also have a number of products and services which can help them, as Arina mentioned, move their funds away, liquidate their crypto assets. Let's say you open an account with one of the respectable partners from the bottom part of my screen, and you've made a lot of money in a period of 12 months. You want to cash out and buy a new pair of shoes? No problem. We can enable that alongside with our acquire processor partners. So that's really the core of what we do. I'm very excited to see how this space will go in the future.
I mean, it's interesting. I'm assuming sort of Visa has, a lot of customers that aren't traditionally maybe familiar with crypto, and it's sort of that representation, that world is a bridge in itself, almost from a cultural perspective.
Yeah, you can say that a lot of our maybe traditional clients are new to the world of crypto and digital currencies, but their end users are very kind of quickly becoming part of this huge momentum that we're seeing in the crypto economy and the kind of digital currency world. You have, according to some reports, between 3 and 4 million users. The number has been growing at a kind of accelerated pace. Crypto market cap has topped 2 trillion a couple of times in the last 12 months. And above and beyond that, we done a consumer survey last year, Liz, and in 8 markets globally. And what we found, and those markets, by the way, were very widespread: Argentina, Brazil, US, Germany, UK, South Africa, Hong Kong, Australia. We found that across the investment decision makers in households, 94% were already aware of crypto. So that's universal awareness. So that means that all the users of our traditional clients are probably aware of crypto. And within this segment, we're almost aware, right? Within this segment, we saw that 1/3 already invested in crypto, and kind of 1 in 5 already look to move their primary bank relation to one which offers crypto products and services. So the trend is there, and I think our traditional clients are fully aware, and their end users are kind of becoming part of the story.
Interesting. So Austin, I'm going to go to you. I mean, what are your views on kind of this role that payment cards have in bridging the gap?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have used about the phrase so far, a bridging and a trustable service. If you go back to when companies like Crypto.com and Crypterium were created back in 2017, 2018, etc., crypto was a new thing, and no one knew how to buy it and no one knew how to spend it. I mean, that was the key question that most people said, what can you actually do with this thing, crypto? So people had heard about it, were interested in it, but didn't know actually what. So, Crypto.com and Crypterium, we set about, creating a payment infrastructure. There were a few sort of competitors, I would say, out there that went a completely different direction. They tried to build their own terminals, for example, a Bitcoin payment terminal. To my knowledge, none of them still exist. Maybe might be 1 or 2 of them, but none of them had that sort of inbuilt credibility. But at the time, even in 2018, just to put it into perspective, our very first CEO used to be the CEO for Visa UK and Ireland, and Visa wasn't ready for us right then, and nor was MasterCard, and nor was UnionPay, and nor was anybody else. So it took a couple of years before the whole concept of how do we bridge these two industries sort of took effect. But so what I think we're seeing today is it has to happen this way because we have to use a system people are comfortable with. Almost everybody knows what Visa is, or everybody knows how MasterCard works. They might not understand the fundamentals behind it, but they understand if they tap this card, the money goes out of one account and goes to another. So if you can spend crypto in that method, it gives people comfort. Interesting question, I think, will be in 5 or 6 years' time, because then people will start to feel more comfortable with crypto. And if we go back to what the fundamental purpose of the blockchain is, and the whole purpose of the blockchain is a permissionless transfer of value. So we don't need a third party to approve or not approve a transaction. theoretically, I can send money from my wallet to anybody else's wallet in the world. And right now, some people might debate whether crypto is money or not, but at some point, people will start to generally accept it as money, particularly in the stablecoin environment. And then the question will be, do we need the permission part of the equation to happen? So right now, this part of the bridging is 100% essential because it gives trust, it gives a comfort factor to body. But as soon as people start to get that comfort and merchants start to feel comfortable with the concept of stablecoin, the question will be, will the cards still play that role in 4 or 5 years' time? And I'll just finish off with just one.
Yeah.
I've already spoken too much, but if you look at what happened, for example, in China, and in China, Alipay and WeChat came up with their QR payment systems, and now they control 90% of the market. Now, that is a permissioned system, but it stays inside their own environment, and it was done really to the exclusion of the banks. Now, that was QR codes. Maybe blockchain is going to be the same equivalent for in the payment space. So right now, I think this bridging is core to the success of crypto, but at some point, maybe crypto will outgrow it.
I think that's an interesting thing to think about whether it's the cards themselves that are the bridge rather than helping the bridge. But I kind of keeping with cards, there have been a lot of crypto-friendly debit cards on the market, and a lot of people are talking about their increased functionality, for as opposed to their fiat equivalent. So I wanted to go into a little bit about what some of that functionality and features are. So Cormac, I wanted to go with you. I mean, what are the benefits of a crypto-enabled debit card over their fiat equivalent?
Yeah, no, thanks, Liz. I think there's probably a number of additional features and functionalities that are allowed by the fact that you have a debit card, let's say, attached to your crypto wallet. So if I put it this way, I think it's probably important to say, kind of following on from the conversation earlier, that while we've been talking largely one way, converting crypto to fiat and then being able to spend our earnings or our crypto, whatever way we want to put it, we must remember that there's also now capability of Crypto.com and other providers for you to top up your card by crypto or by fiat, and you can top up your crypto wallet also by card. So it's essentially it's a two-way action now, which is great. And I think that again allows for the seamless transition from we'll call it one world to another, from the fiat to the crypto and back again. So I think there's the ability now to go both ways, which is really important. But our prepaid card, for example, as I say, can be topped up by using a bank account. Transfer can be by credit card, debit card, or by cryptocurrency from your crypto wallet. So all through the convenience of the single app. So the ability to build that type of functionality in also allows then the user, I think, number one, to be able to make the payments that we discussed a few moments ago. But I think what's important here is it just allows that additional adoption. I think it's one, people can see the easy on-ramps and off-ramps, but also I think where they can see the connection between their fiat world and their crypto world, I think it allows for greater levels of adoption as well, which is important to all of us. So I think that's another key feature of the cards and the payments infrastructures that we're putting in place that allows, I suppose, people to get used to the cryptocurrency and get used to using it and beginning to get comfortable with it. 75% of Crypto.com customers would like to eventually be able to pay with crypto. So not even do the conversion into fiat, go straight from crypto into a merchant and pay. And that's 75% of our customers. So that's huge. And I think at a worldwide level, it's probably along the lines of 45%, according to a recent checkout survey. So I think that the ability to be able to do either or with a card is coming very, very soon. And I think that's, again, going to be a key feature. It's something that we've done some work with Visa on in the past. We hope to be able to continue to build on that work. The cards sort of provide, I suppose, we talked about earlier on, a quick and easy way, a seamless way to transition from one to the other. And I think that, as I say, helps the adoption and allows people to get comfortable and used to using crypto in a very straightforward way. I think that the sort of around adoption rates and so on we're still at still very nascent technology. We're still at a very, very early stage. We talked about tens and hundreds of millions of customers, but it's still a drop in the ocean when you think about the number of customers who are yet out there and yet to become adopters and to begin using the technology. So I think there's a long way to go in terms of how we use it and what we use it for. Because I suppose we design our cards specifically with the customer in mind, making that and make it easy to make that seamless transition. And because the card supports a variety of different types of cryptocurrencies, then it can be used to top up. It can be used to top up the card either way. So from other wallets, from, as I say, from fiat or from within the app as well. Key for everyone, I think, is always going to be that user experience and developing those on-ramps and off-ramps, developing an app and developing a UI that makes it easy for people to transition from one to the other is also a key feature of what we've been building here at Crypto.com.
It's interesting. A lot of you have been talking about sort of that trust and comfort feeling that the cards bring as well. It's very interesting, especially moving into the crypto world. I mean, I wanted to go back to Austin for a bit. I know that you gave us kind of a vision of a future without cards, but maybe you wanted to add a little bit to what Cormac was talking about some of the functionality of a crypto connected debit card.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually agree that there is better functionality in the crypto space than, say, the fiat space right now. But I would say that the benefits in terms of the rewards can be. So there are certain things that crypto can do that fiat currency can't do, and that's in particular provide rewards. And Cryptocom, probably the world leader in the reward program in relation to cards. But it's not just, get cash back or things like this. There are other ways that customers can earn. So, for example, today, if you put your fiat currency into your savings account in a bank, you might get, if you're lucky, maybe 2% if you're super lucky. But in the crypto space, you can easily be earning 10, 15%. And if you can actually link your card to a savings account that's earning 15%, then effectively you are earning whilst you're spending, which it's very difficult to do that in the fiat space. So fiat can't give the same type of cashbacks that crypto can, and it can't give the same interest rates that crypto can. And I won't go into the mechanics of how crypto earns that, but it's a fact that you can easily be getting 10+% on a standard savings account in the crypto space. As soon as you attach your payment card to that, then that becomes a very nice feature. And then you start to add in additional cashbacks from using programs. It becomes a very attractive proposition to use the card than, say, a traditional card.
No, yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, I want to stay with you a bit because I want to kind of continue this conversation with this, customer experience angle and bringing in, like, how can APIs be used to enable crypto exchanges to kind of build these card programs that enable these better customer experiences?
Well, I think, first of all, the APIs with companies, like Marqeta, they're very, very important for a platform like Crypterium to be able to provide the whole range of services. But they need to be incredibly simple, because one of the things I personally believe will be a key driver to the wider adoption of crypto is businesses issuing effectively their own crypto. And if they're issuing their own crypto, they want to have that fiat on on-ramp capability. So just to give a little bit background, there's about 8,000 cryptocurrencies out there, maybe 9,000. They're growing all the time. And they're often small companies that have got a good idea and they're issuing a token. And what those companies would love to have is a fiat on and off ramp. They want customers to be able to buy that token, and they really want to give an opportunity for customers to be able to spend that token in the supermarket, for example. And that's where APIs could really be very helpful. So right now, the API capability is really quite complicated with a company like Crypterium. It takes several months. What we really need to see is an ability for a dirty type approach almost that says, here's a version, it takes 4 weeks. All you have to do is stick this API into your existing application, and you can upload that crypto, into a feed. And I believe that will be a huge adopter. So the loyalty program in your local supermarket, or you've invested in crypto mining, or whatever it is, the opportunity to be able to spend that is core, and API will be a key driver.
I think we lost Cormac for a bit, but I've got some questions later on for him, so hopefully we will get him back with a small technical difficulty. But I wanted to keep on this conversation around sort of crypto exchanges and payment cards. And I mean, a lot of conversations around crypto now, and you mentioned supermarkets, for example, is really about bringing this mainstream. So I wanted to go to Arena first for this question. How are crypto exchanges using payment cards to really make this an everyday experience for people?
That's a good question. Thank you. I think you will agree with me that modern payment methods are just part of our life, and who use cash. Basically, when last time I remember, I was proposed to pay for one of my purchases in cash. Shop assistant, really, she looked at me as I was asking, can I pay in real gold or silver? And she was like, well, I mean, people tend to use easy payment methods, such as cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal. Why? I mean, because they're easy, and we are living in a big cities. We have no time for slow payment transactions. And this is equal if, for example, you are buying something in a grocery store, or you, for example, purchasing your crypto. I mean, as crypto for now, for many of us, it also can be called like everyday purchase. And with CXAO, we heard a demand from our customers for well-known and easy payment methods. And then initially, we enabled deposits and withdrawals using payment cards. Then we followed also with Apple Pay, with Google Pay, with even PayPal. Now using your beloved payment methods, you can both on our web application or our mobile application, you can deposit and withdraw easily. Basically, with these easy payment methods, our customers can step back from complicated payments, such as SWIFT payments. I mean, who knows how many days? Normally, banks are saying, okay, SWIFT payment will be there in 2 or 3 days. But I don't think so. Normally, it takes with the weekends or with some holidays, week, And in addition to that, as the reports are showing, then more and more individuals are eager to receive their salaries in crypto. And as I think Austin was mentioning before, that not all merchants are ready for that to enable purchases in crypto or stable coins. So that's why we still need to give to our customers this bridging moment of a card, for example, which is linked to the exchange, to the wallet, and with this card, person can go and buy something in store, online, whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I'm going to move to Nick now, because I know that you have some stats from Visa around this sort of idea of crypto exchanges using cards to make crypto kind of an everyday experience. Want to know if you wanted to go into some of those.
Yes, thank you, Liz. So, we've been working with partners in this space for quite a few years now, and I think to date we have almost 70 partner programs who are issuing cards with us, and we're seeing this almost as a natural evolution in, our partners looking to enable their end consumers to be able to, spend their crypto anywhere Visa is accepted, which is 80 million plus merchant endpoints worldwide. And we are starting to see some meaningful traction in these programs. In the first 3 months of our fiscal year 22, which is kind of last week calendar months of 21, we had kind of 2.5 billion in payment volumes of these programs, compared to 3.5 billion for the 12 months preceding. So that's showing you that, given where these programs are 15, 16 months ago, kind of almost nowhere, it shows you they're getting serious traction. And as Austin has hinted, some of that is through a delivering crypto rewards, but more than that, some of it is also by giving a nice, clean UX UI and opportunity for you to kind of spend your crypto directly. And we have, as mentioned, roughly 70 such programs now. The numbers have doubled in the last 18 months, and we see this as a huge area of growth moving forward.
Interesting. Yeah, I wanted to stay with you because we have a question from the audience specifically for Visa. I don't know whether you have a view on it, but they were looking at how is Visa playing their role with the crypto APIs for small businesses. Do you have any views on that?
I'm not 100% sure what the question is referring to, but let's take a stab. So obviously, we're committed to think for our own kind of product platform here and how we want to further enhance the kind of our traditional clients' capabilities when it comes to delivering a crypto custody API reward solution for their end users. We are still at the early stage. We are piloting such capability in US, and once we have a clear view on when this will be ready for additional kind of markets and regions globally, we'll be communicating this worldwide.
Excellent, thank you. So great, we have Cormac back. He's back with us, which is excellent. So my next question is for you. I mean, we've been talking a little bit about bringing crypto mainstream, but as we know, there are different sort of tiers of crypto users, people that have been using it for over a decade now, and then of course the newcomers. Can you talk a little bit about how you've designed a tiered set of card products to meet these different levels of customers?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And I think it kind of goes back to some of what Austin was saying as well. I mean, there are different benefits that we offer. And again, in some cases, they may be similar to what's on offer potentially from other types of cards. But the key here is crypto just adds a different layer and then some additional benefits that we can add to our card program. I mean, for us, it's still all about, helping the customer transition and adopt to cryptocurrency, and we look to try and offer the various different abilities and ways for them to do so. We're very focused, as you'll see in our logo, is cryptocurrency in every wallet is really where we're trying to get to. So whether that's engaging sort of experienced, early adopter type customers or those considering their very first exploration into crypto today, we tend to try and offer various different tiers and different levels of sophistication within the app and within the services that we provide. So there's something there for each sort of level or each tier. So, I mean, I think central to the convenience and the utility of the app and the ability to transition from one world to the other is where customers, as I said before, can simply top up using the bank transfer, fiat transfer onto their card and vice versa. And then we have that within the app. It's a very simple and intuitive UI for people to be able to, beginners to be able to just track and monitor prices and track their wallet, both their fiat and their crypto wallet, all in one place. I think that's kind of key. It's all in one place to support and give us additional functionality. The crypto and fiat wallets are easily navigated within the application, or within the app, I should say. And if you think about what Austin was saying earlier on, some of the additional benefits that we can then offer come with regards to staking and essentially gaining interest and the additional cashback, as we call it, or the additional rewards for spending that you just don't get in the fiat world. So whether that's traditional currency, crypto, if you want to call it that, so top 10 type currencies, or some of the other 250 that we offer. We're not quite at the 9,000 that I think Austin referred to earlier on, but we're working on it, Austin. We're working on it. But there are so many options for users depending on where they are in their own sophistication, their own research, and what sort of projects they're interested in. And then, going back to the types of rewards within the tiers, there's different distinct types of benefits for either going from entry level, just cashback, to providing what I might call certain real world type benefits like free Netflix and Spotify we talked about before. And then you have the likes of airport lounge access and rebates on travel and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of options. There's a lot of different types of benefits other than those that are provided by the sort of pure crypto functionality. But the sophisticated individuals, those that are probably the early adopters, as we call them, also have the ability to connect to the exchange, to purchase and to go into our marketplace with on NFTs. So there's plenty of other additional sort of more sophisticated avenues for other users that maybe have been doing this for a little bit longer. So something, I suppose, a little bit, for everyone there across all the different tiers, all the different benefits and rewards that we offer to get people started, and then as they go through the sophistication. It's not rocket science insofar as the more people can stake, the more people that have on the app, the greater level of those benefits as well. And that goes back to some of those that might be more used to doing it than others. But again, the staking and the interest that's available in some of the other DeFi products that we have access to.
Interesting. I'm going to stay with you because we have a question from the audience. It's interesting to see some of them coming from them. As you know, there's more than just the consumer in that payment journey. There's the merchant side, and there's a question that says, "What is Crypto.com's plans for e-commerce merchants?" Which, according to them, as early adoption was very conservative on the transaction threshold, according to them. I mean, what are your plans from the e-commerce merchant side?
Yeah, that's something we're building out. We're very focused on, especially as part of our strategy for 2022, is to build out more on the merchant side. I'm not sure if this is where the individual is coming from in terms of the question, but key for us this year is to really build out on some of the initial use cases we've had around what we call crypto pay. So essentially allowing merchants to accept crypto directly through the app. So essentially a customer can pay with their crypto. And it's so part of the process we're going through at the moment is working with merchants in terms of how best to roll that out. We do have that, it is available today, but what we want to do is really build that out to a much wider audience and much greater level of customers. So absolutely, to your customers, to your viewers' question, it's definitely something they'll see an awful lot more of over the next sort of 9 to 12 months, I think, from us in terms of being able to pay directly with crypto, thanks to the works that we're doing, more so on the merchant side of the business. And if there's someone there who wants to get in touch afterwards, I can plug them into the right team in terms of getting on board as a merchant.
Excellent, cool.
Can I
Go.
No, I'm just, listening for Cormac saying that with this crypto adoption and the merchants and not a huge adoption yet for the merchants per se. What I feel here and what I see on the market, it's like a circle. We as exchanges, we tend to and we try to work with a huge reputed companies, financial partners on the market. And then when you see merchants, like small businesses, middle businesses, they're not believing in crypto yet. For them, this is a huge thing. For example, when they are going through enhanced due diligence of us as a crypto exchanges, and they see, oh God, they're working with Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, huge banks. This gives them the feeling that they can trust us. So basically, this is like a circle of adoption.
I like that very much, that circle of adoption. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
That's right. It goes back, sorry to put across, but I think I couldn't agree more with Arena. Sorry, I think what a lot of this comes down to is the various different things we can do to make life more comfortable and make the adoption more comfortable. We call it trust in some cases, but maybe it's just making it easier to use, down through the UI and making giving real world use cases to people. I think that's the sort of areas where you'll see the adoption really take off. And I think I saw recently there was some statistics on, I'm not sure if it was actually through Visa specifically, but there was merchants who have begun to accept crypto directly are now starting to see net inflows of customers, especially global and international customers. So those that are trying to drive adoption outside their local area are really starting to find that by accepting crypto, they've really widened and opened their market as well. So I think that's probably key as part of that circle, I think, as you were called it earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the word simplify. I mean, this idea about trust and also user experience is about making that experience more easy to understand for the customer. So I'll go to Arena for the next one. I mean, we've got in terms of simplifying the ability for people to deal with crypto and getting their funds on and off, and better access. How are payment cards kind of simplifying that experience?
Mm-hmm. Like what we saw from the early start, we enabled card deposits and withdrawal. withdrawals, that this has become just like a most popular payment method for retail customers when they buying crypto, or for example, when they withdrawing fiat after trading, after staking, saving, and etc. So, I mean, like card payments, this is something very well known to everyone. You know, your card is linked to your exchange. You don't need to, for example, copy paste bank account details, then open additional window, you know, like proceed with deposit anymore. This is like a new normal thing for a customer to buy something using his card in his phone, you know, and it doesn't matter if you would like to buy your coffee or you would like to buy your crypto. In 2022, this should be equally seamless and equally fast. And you know, like when customer have this understanding that in his beloved crypto exchange, which he's using for years, or for example, he's just recently onboarded, this exchange is supporting card transactions both way, deposits and withdrawals. So this automatically like park in a mind of the customer, like this idea that it's easy to buy crypto, or it's just easy to get your fiat in your like your used fiat currency after trading. So this is what we do in, you know, like together with the help of our financial partners, like Visa here on this panel, you know, like to make this experience for our end customer really seamless and something which is, yeah, I mean, I would say new normal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to go to Nick next for comment on that
Yeah.
simplifying that process.
Yeah, and I would say like from our perspective, it really comes down to three key things we bring in for a customer, and that's like frictionless experience, speed, and consumer protection. You know, as Rina mentioned, it is, and as I mentioned at the beginning, it is really our mission to make sure that as you can use your card to buy digital currency, the crypto merchant, this crypto platform, the same way that you can use your card today to buy coffee wherever you like to buy coffee. I don't know. I'm not going to ask you that, but really, the key thing of what you're doing here is enabling a frictionless experience from a cardholder perspective. We also give them speed, especially on the off-ramp piece. If you can, sell your assets, your holdings, in this case, digital currency, and then safely and securely push that funds to your card and start spending in the real world. That's an experience which is currently unmatched by other types of services in the spectrum. And finally, when you're using a card for any purchase, you as a consumer have a right for chargeback, and that's something that's missing for other payment methods today. And that's something which I would say enhances the consumer experience and really helps with the adoption and kind of the growth phase, which is where we're now.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'm going to go to Austin as well, because I wanted to get to find out your views on this simplifying this process for the customer.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with everything that Irina and Nicola just said. I'd like to add just a couple of points. The first one is we have to remember that we're 6 years into a journey, I would say, maybe even less. So, as I said, we set up in 2017, and we didn't get our first visa program until 2019. So, what's that? 3 years, and then since then. Nicola has said, they've issued already 70 programs in Europe, which probably means there's, several hundred, on a global scale. So
that's globally, sorry.
Oh, that's global. Okay, but still, it's still a good number in the space of 3 years. And without the support of say Visa or MasterCard to be able to enable people to buy crypto, how would people acquire it today? I mean, really, how would we do it? You'd go to the corner and you'd hand over £100 to a guy on the corner of the street, like you did some drugs or something. So, I mean, it's absolutely, critical to our business. And so, my next comment is with this in mind. We're only 3 years in, and there's incredible movement, but we're still trying to mix a new world payment capability of, a frictionless permissionless transfer system with an existing infrastructure. And there are so many things I think that we could be doing which just would speed things up. So, for example, this isn't a criticism of the existing system based on it's 3 years into this, but crypto is global. Crypto is a global, and I'm sure that the CE customer base, they're global. They're not just a local customer base. So what we really want to be able to issue is globally capable cards and not have to have a different program, one for the US, one for Japan, one for the Philippines, and that is something that we're going to have to work together with. And I understand the old world system was that because it's issued by a bank and it's issued to a local customer base who all wanted to work, in a local environment. But that is not what crypto is, and that is the next challenge I think in this space. We need to stop thinking geographically. We've started to accept how critical we are to each other. 2.5 billion in the first quarter, that's not a small number. And next quarter, maybe it's 5 billion, etc. But we need to move into a global environment sooner than later.
Just to also shortly add here, what I understood that we now 40 minutes on this panel discussion and never mentioned how cool all of us we are in terms of going this road with so complicated regulatory aspects, as Esten was saying, I mean, CXAO is serving more than 200 countries and territories. And oh my God, our regulators are not making this even this much easier. So that's, this is a huge work, what it's done by the exchanges and also by our financial partners to convince regulators, to present as well ourselves as a legit business. And I think that crypto related companies, we're so agile here. We are not like a fiat payment firms, or for example, classic banks are playing just in one direction, where in both we need to be legit in fiat and in crypto. And I mean, taking everything into the account, we're here, we have cards, we have crypto cards, we have cards linked to the exchanges. I mean, this is huge.
I think that's it's going to be our next discussion when we talk about global regulations and crypto. But I want to bring in a question from the audience because it's something that's been in the back of my mind. I mean, ever since, we first started talking about Bitcoin and crypto many years ago, one thing that always came up was that it doesn't work very well as a payment mechanism. It's an asset. And of course, the price of crypto changes all the time. So the question from the audience is, what is, if the price of the currency can change in a matter of seconds, how does that lend itself to it being effective as a transaction? I don't know if anyone wants to pop in on that.
I can start our perspective. Oh, sorry, Austin, you go first.
Go ahead, Nicola. Please go ahead.
I can give a Visa perspective here. We see that traditional, what you would call cryptocurrencies, are perceived by both consumers and merchants more as digital gold, as an asset class, and as such is not necessarily something that you would want to either part of on a daily basis to do your grocery shopping, or that you would want to accept as a merchant on a daily basis, strictly down to the volatility reasons, such that you may not be able to pay your end-of-day or month bills to your suppliers. When it comes to fiat-backed digital currencies such as privately issued stable coins or central bank digital currencies, for us, these are just different form factors of fiat that digitally tokens format, and as such, they could have the same application as existing fiat currencies for everyday payments. We have done a test transaction to build out our settlement capability in digital currency, starting with stable coins with Cryptocom in USDC, and we see potentially a future where consumers would be spending their stable coins directly. Some of the people who are working in the crypto industry today receive their salaries in stable coins. And obviously, if you see your salaries in a certain asset or money, and if you can't spend it when you go to a restaurant, it's not really money, it's something else. So we want to make sure that as consumers and businesses start operating in these new types of tokens, we have a way to allow them to spend them directly. And this is where we think today that the kind of the future direction will be. especially when it comes to spending digital currencies directly to purchase goods and services. Sorry, Austin, I cut you out there.
No, that was perfect. I was going to cover part of that, so thank you. I won't cover that part. I would just add, though, that we often ask these questions from a, let's say, a Western economy perspective, and there are a lot of economies out there that have, inflation that is running at 40 or 50%, and access to sort of traditional payment methods are not particularly, easy for them to get hold of. I mean, for example, in Brazil, Visa and MasterCard are not necessarily the dominant, payment methods, etc. There, so in some markets, even though there is a price appreciation or a deflation in any one particular currency, it could still be a very attractive proposition compared to, say, holding the local currency. And getting hold of US dollars is actually very difficult. So UK, US, Europe, I agree. But in a lot of markets, this could be a very attractive value proposition for them.
It is. It's kind of like that. You mentioned before. I wanted to comment on this utopia of a global currency, but then you get down to geographical differences, and the reality on the ground is very different. It's interesting to see that moving forward. So we've got about 5 minutes left in our discussion. So I want to talk a little bit about the future. And we kind of touched on this a little bit with the, is cryptocurrency, does it really work as a payment method, and, converting fiat to crypto? Are we going to see a future where you don't need to do that going forward? Is that the end goal of everything we've been talking about? So I'll go to Cormac for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably say it's an end goal to have both options. I think we're not going to roll out fiat overnight. I think it's going to take a long time for people to be able to adopt and seamlessly work with both in whatever manner they want to. I think it's probably important, like what I referred earlier on to the work that we're beginning to do with merchants, to allow merchants to receive crypto directly. And I think that probably also is in line with the work that we're doing with Visa around stablecoins and being able to settle directly with stablecoins and USDC, for example, as Nicola referred to earlier on. I mean, the question often raised is whether or not cryptocurrencies have an actual real world utility and a commerce use case, or are they just investable assets. But 45% of 18 to 35-year-olds believe it's both. And they're looking forward to a day when they can use both seamlessly or have the option to use both whenever it makes most sense. I think at the moment that, despite the great growth I referred to earlier on, I did mention that, we're still very much in a nascent phase when it comes to crypto, and it's very difficult to, I suppose, predict the future. Our strategy would most definitely be to have a scenario where you can pay with both fiat or crypto using your card. And again, going back to what we said about stable coins earlier on, might be the first step in that direction. But we're very much driving, I suppose, a very early stage of a whole new digital ecosystem, brand new adjacent digital ecosystem. I think that's important. We're using, Arena and Austin talked about, I suppose, we're using today's approaches to try and get people to adopt tomorrow's new ecosystem of digital ecosystem and digital currency, because it's the best way for people to probably learn and understand how it all works. But it's actually a very, very different ecosystem that we're building. And when you look at 3, 5, 7 years down the road, where will we be when it comes to the likes of DeFi at that stage and financial services products that can be offered? Where will we be with regard to Web3 and the uses, unbelievable use cases there are now today around NFTs as well? All of that has to be brought into potentially some of the discussion that we're talking about today. We're at such an early stage when we just talk about how we interact between fiat and crypto. So long way to go. I think it's very difficult to sort of predict that future. I think all of our companies are innovating in this space, trying to, I suppose, preempt potentially the best ways to offer the services to the customer. And I think slowly but surely we'll move away from what might be considered to be the traditional approaches, not the traditional world, but certainly the traditional approaches to the new ecosystem, and we'll begin to build our own ways of working, I think, and our own ways of transacting and purchasing on a daily basis using the new tools that are available to us.
It's very interesting. We got 48 minutes in before we mentioned Web3. Again, that's our next discussion.
I'm just gutted that because what was it, about 40 minutes in and somebody mentioned regulation. I thought we were going to do without regulation today. I name
So
not
I
naming
want to, yeah, go on.
No,
So, yeah,
sorry.
so I wanted to end with Nick. On this, this future that we're moving to. Are we going to be seeing a future where we don't need to convert between fiat and crypto? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that first of all, like I would agree with Cormac and say that would be giving consumers is choice, and there will also always be consumers maybe who prefer to use cash. I agree. Well, I agree with everything. Some of the big cities that we live, you don't necessarily use anything but a card. Certainly, when you go to some of the countryside of the UK or maybe even Southern Europe, majority of transactions are actually in cash, and a lot of shops don't have card terminals, so you have to have some banknotes or even coins with you. I would say, in terms of where the future will be headed, from our perspective, we want to be this network of networks and really add additional networks to our own, whether they are, underlying kind of public blockchains or, maybe DLTs only operated by central banks for CBDC. We definitely see a future where the consumers will have the choice, and we want to make sure that they can, pay and merchants can be paid in any form factor they want to use, whether it's fiat, stablecoin, or CBDC. So definitely, I think we're heading towards a future where consumers and merchants will have more choice, and their choices will actually be driving the kind of business model and underlying products and services that we're all building.
Excellent. Wonderful. So we went a little bit over, but that's absolutely, whenever we talk about these subjects, we could talk about it for hours. We had a very engaged audience, so there are a few questions, which I'm sure you guys will see after we go. But I want to thank our panel, Nick, Marina, Cormac, and Austin. Thank you very much for a very, very insightful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Goodbye, everybody.